I'm already thinking about who to bring on next. You stumped me already with the last question.
Didn't Joost tell you?
What?
Didn't Joost tell you? I said to Joost, make sure that he has somebody in his head.
About
who to nominate. Well, we have 45. No, we'll take the time.
Yeah.
And
you probably spoke to people that I would nominate. I'm thinking of PSV people that I know, like Arthur Newman.
Sure. I know Arthur a little bit.
Arthur, yeah.
Yeah.
I would say Arthur Newman.
Let's go with Arthur then.
Yeah.
We'll put it on the end again. So
yes.
Arthur, if you're listening, you already
He's
know.
the man here, so.
Yeah. You played with him, of course.
At Rangers.
Yeah. How was he as a player?
Great. Fantastic.
Like a monster.
Left back. And so strong and going forward. Up until that time, I'd never played with like a left back who could attack like that. I played in Germany, so more defensive type players and in that position. So to see the way he attacked, how good he was going forward. Yeah, I was really, really good player. Great guy.
I was the past 5 days I spent with an academy from Dubai that were in the Netherlands, and they had a big Scottish representative in the coaching. So 5 out of 7 coaches were Scottish.
Yeah.
And they said, "Oh, well, I said I was going to talk to you," so that was funny. But half of them was Celtic, so they didn't really care.
Yeah, that's right. The other side.
And the other side, Claudio Reyna, and one of them actually said that Newman was one of the best players that ever played for Rangers.
Yeah, he was so good.
That's funny.
So good. Yeah, it was a shame. I think towards the end he had a lot of like ankle problems. So he was sort of from Rangers. He stopped. He retired, but he could have kept going. But he was dealing with pain. But he's so good. Played against him also Holland in a friendly.
Okay.
And great guy as well.
Cool. Yeah, that was your first. By the way, we just started. So
okay,
let's go. We're already on it.
Yeah.
You said Rangers, Advocaat, Newman.
Yeah.
That was your first. You got acquainted to the Dutch side of football. Well, maybe you played against some of it, but that's really when Advocaat was in your dressing room every day, and you really got maybe influenced by Dutch guys. Yeah.
That was the first time I worked with Dutch coaches. We had Bert van Lingen, Jan Wouters, assistant coach. There was Michael Moos, Gio van Bronckhorst, Arthur Newman.
Konterman, was he also there?
Konterman. And Fernando Rixen came the next year. And so there was a big contingent. Shota Averlatza, who played at Ajax, came after. So I was very much introduced to Dutch football with Dick. After coming from Germany, where at the time it was 3-5-2, sweepers, both teams with the liberos, man-to-man, running everywhere, having these one-on-one duels to the zonal, positional game, the trainings, everything about it. I loved it. It was like I found where I belonged. I learned so much. I always say I credited Dick to the first coach that I felt I was learning so much more. In Germany, what I learned was the work ethic, the training, the professionalism coming from U.S. I came straight from college, and that was great for me, really learning that part of it, the duels, the 1v1, the fighting, but then laying that over now with football and the tactics and, the way he spoke the game and, what he would tell me what to do. Very simple, but it made so much sense, and we had fantastic teams. Then after came Ronald de Boer as well. A year after from Barcelona, so it was around Dutch players, and I loved it. It was amazing to see how they played the game, how they trained the game, and it was very simple. It came very easy to me, and I just ever since then I continue then from there to really follow all of it more. Of course, Barcelona with the influence of Cruyff and the influence it has in the game, and forever really, and brings me here to PSV. It's sort of this circle now continues that I know the Dutch football in the way they develop it, the way they train, the way they play and see the game is, for me, one of the best in the world.
Yeah. Was it also, so you said the physicality of Germany brought you to, it's also a good foundation to have that.
Yeah.
It's hard, maybe even harder to learn it the other way around if you are.
Yeah.
That's what we see in the Netherlands. If you're a Dutch player, you're brought up with having the ball.
Yeah.
You're always focusing on possession, and then later on throughout Europe you learn, okay, there's more to football, and you kind of experience it the other way around.
That's right. Yeah. So because I grew up in the United States, my dad's from Argentina, and I was playing growing up, really good competition. It was all leagues in New York, New Jersey. I was born in New Jersey, grew up in that area playing against really good players, but everybody was the son of an immigrant.
Sure.
So the football there was like really, really good.
Latin oriented?
Latin, but also a lot of European influence,
Sure.
Germans, like Eastern Europeans, South Americans, and, you know, really good players, but all like kids from, you know, a lot of Greek kids and Colombians and Ecuadorians. And so there was really good players. You learn the game. It's tough, really physical, different than the U.S. system today. But I was always like the 10. I was always attacking. I always had
Sure.
the ball. It was more like, you know, my dad grew up in Argentina. It was like, you know, the number 10, and that's what I wanted to. Maradona was my idol.
Yeah.
That was where I got my passion for football, was the 78 and 82 World Cups. There was zero soccer on TV in the United States when I was young. And I mean zero. My dad used to have to take me to pay to play places in Elizabeth, New Jersey, and Newark, New Jersey. I would like sit on his lap and we'd watch Argentina play a qualifier
Sure.
on like a big movie screen. And that was like my first experience of watching soccer. And I was like, wow, I'd love to do that. But in this country, where do
sure.
I do it? It was really, really a dream. Like I was like, I'm never going to be a
Your
professional.
father was a football fanatic. Well, it's in the
Fanatic.
culture completely, of course.
Crazy. To this day, he watches anything. He loves watching women's football, girls' football, any level. He's a real soccer junkie. He watches everything. And he taught me the game. But I was always, all the way through university, when I played on youth national teams in the U.S., I was always a playmaker, giving the ball. And I thought I did, but I didn't do any defensive work, you know. And so when I got to Germany...
Well, hold on. There was like a beep. Did you hear it?
Yeah, I did hear that. Like a bird.
Hoor jij het ook niet? Oh, it's the air conditioning.
Yeah. I think we're good now.
Yeah, I think we're fine. Okay.
So when I came to Germany, I realized real quick this isn't going to work. You know, not being able to, even as a 10, which I was in my first steps into professional football with the national team. I was still an attacking player. I would play like right wing, left wing, you know, and right midfield. And I just realized right away that I was not good when out of possession.
Sure.
Not just winning the ball back, but where to be, being organized was really the tactical side of it as well. And it was a big lesson for me because the reality was, to me, what I learned was if I don't play defense, I'm not going to have a football career. So realizing, look, I had to learn this part of the game and quickly and adapt. You know, nobody waits for you in professional football. I realized that. And so I think taking that through my experience, you know, is learning how to play when I didn't have the ball, winning duels, you know, being connected with other teammates on the field was the reason that I was able to have a career. And as I moved on from Rangers to the Premier League, I played many different positions. I played right midfield. I played left midfield. I played 6 later in my career. I played right back with Rangers.
Yeah.
So that allowed me, you know, to give the trust to the coach. That's what the coach is always looking for, and you have to defend.
But it's interesting because before we started recording, you were saying like there was no pathway for a professional, to become a professional player. But apparently when you were already playing with your friends and locally, you kind of knew where you wanted to go without knowing the route. That's kind of what I'm hearing as well.
Yeah.
And maybe a father helps. That's so crazy about football, but still. That's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, it was a dream to be a professional. I truly mean that. I didn't think I'd be able to do it, but we had the old NASL before the MLS, but that folded. So I got to see the Cosmos, which is like a legendary team that, you know, Dutch players play like Wim Rijsbergen and Johan Nieskins. But then soccer was really a sport that it's on TV. It didn't exist.
Girl sport, maybe.
Yeah, more on that side, but that was even after as well that it started to pick up on the women's side. But I had to go abroad if I was going to play, and I think it was a bit of fortune as well. Everything, when I look back, I was lucky enough to play in the youth national teams. That was for me, you know, I give a lot of credit to the federation because they provided opportunities for the best players to go play in Europe and in South America, and we had to do qualifying, and I was able to get that first experience and saying, I want to do this. You know, I'm not sure how I'm going to get there, but I want to do this for a living. And I was able to do it, and
that's like around 15 to 18 that you got into the national teams, and that's when you learned to. Well, that's when you experienced football outside of the United States.
That's right. I played on the at the time it was even the under 16s. Then FIFA made it under 17 category. I played in the World Cup in '89 in Scotland. Got to see that. We played teams, like Portugal and Brazil. We beat Brazil 1-0. And it was just an amazing experience to be in stadiums. We're in a country where football was everything, whether we went to Italy, South America, even the Caribbean. These countries love soccer.
All countries that really think they own football, and then the American kids coming and they will show them probably.
Yes, we were always confident. That's one thing we have. So we never lose that.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
And now, well, you went through your whole journey in Europe and played for several teams. Dick Advocaat was your first Dutch influence, and now, well, we'll go very fast, but we'll go back through all your steps. And now you are the sporting director of Austin FC.
That's right.
I was in Atlanta United, I think 2019, and you just got the license, I think.
That's
club,
right.
Yeah.
Yep.
And a new club. You've been in a sporting director role before at New York City, and now you are the one. Dick Advocaat was influencing you, and now you're on top of the mountain. I'm not saying that's your leadership style, but people look at you and you can influence your own setting, your own context.
Yeah.
How is it going so far?
It's going great. It's a amazing job. I always actually thought I was going to get into coaching, and I had opportunities. As soon as I retired in MLS, there was teams that reached out to me, and
without any experience, they said, "Okay, we want you." Yeah, sure.
This was actually quite common at the time, because if they were going to stay domestic, there was players that had experience, and some players, maybe assistant, but in some cases I was even somebody was talking to me about, do you want to coach a team and be like a sort of manager, and we can put in
from the other side. You had more than 110 caps, so I can't imagine somebody wants you in the organization once you stop. So please come. You probably know how it works. So that's probably
I had experience. But I was one where I wanted to take a step back, and what I did in that year is I traveled around to academies. I visited many different academies in Italy. I went to Ajax, I went to Inter Milan, I went to Sporting Lisbon. Yeah. I went to Manchester City. I went to different places, and I just wanted to see the different places, because when you play, you're just focused on where you're at in your career, and it's while you have amazing experiences, you don't get to see the bigger picture. And I wanted to understand the bigger picture, and I also wanted to know what I definitely wanted to do. Like, what do I want to do? I wasn't sure yet if I wanted to coach, if I wanted to be a sporting director, and my love at the time was, what my passion was like youth development, because the U.S. was really behind in terms of structure, organization. The MLS was still kind of coming together, and we still are, but we've made incredible steps from 10 years ago. I retired 15 years ago, but like from there to now, it's unbelievable. So I worked for U.S. Soccer as a youth technical director, organizing there, trying to get people to think alike, same systems. How do we scout players? These are all the things I picked up. How do we work together? How do we teach the game? How do we talk the game? Because in the U.S., there's so many people that love soccer, so many passionate coaches, but we have everything. Holland has everything we don't, and which is a country where there's a common way of seeing the game. There's, of course, different ideas, but there's a system. Mentality is similar. We have the United States, where we have people that influence our sport that came from Germany, from England, from South America. And within our own country, we have all these different ways of playing it. So to kind of really, get everybody aligned is a challenge. And so now I take those experiences onto New York City FC and now to Austin. And the difference is in my role as sporting director is bringing people together to work together, like-minded, being able to share opinions and ideas and manage the emotions of football as well, from the high level, from week to week. Make sure today is organized and we have a plan, but at the same time, you have to think mid and long term about everything as a sporting director. And one of the main things, of course, is like how we play. How do we, our identity, when someone sees our teams play, what are we, and So it's a balance, because when you're building a team first from nothing, it's literally we started the whole club. We have a beautiful stadium, world-class facilities, and a city that loves soccer, but nothing before that, right? So this is literally starting from scratch, and it has its amazing opportunities because you have a blank canvas to do it how you want, but at the same time you have to put players together. You got to bring players from different countries. You have a coach, Josh Wolf, who worked with Greg Berhalter, the current national team coach. So the way he plays was something that fit in terms of Austin FC. Offensive-minded, possession-based, brave, courageous, with energy, fast ball circulation, collective, build around everybody, score from different areas.
This is just sum up. You just summarized the identity, I think, in 5 sentences.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. With the ball, open up, spaces, but really very much that's it. If we're going to say, if we're going to explain it to you in a minute, that's what we wanted to focus for. So then you kind of piecing players that fit into that system. Then there's the training every day. Of course, you got to get to work on it on the first team. And last year we had 4 or 5 injuries. We struggled. This year now we're in second place in the Western Conference, doing really, really well in our second year. Incredible support. The city is, I've told everybody, because I know most people I ask, if I asked you as well, have you ever been to Austin? I'm sure the answer is no. Most people, even in the United States,
they haven't been.
No, maybe one time, because it's sort of this out of the way, but really, really exciting new city that's fast and booming. Tesla just moved there. Elon Musk lives there. So it's on.
I know
the
Joe
map.
Rogan just
Joe Rogan, I love his podcast.
Yeah, me too.
He's awesome. I was actually listening to one on the way here today. Okay. So he's the man. So he lives there. He moved there, and now all of a sudden, a professional team, the first ever professional team, is in Austin. The city is incredibly supportive, passionate. We sell at every game. So there's the off the field. We wanted to bring people. We want to make it exciting and entertaining to come watch our team. So we have the second most goals in the league, just one behind LAFC.
Yeah.
Offensive, courageous, and always these things. It's easier to talk. It's easier for us to sit here and talk than actually every day in a meeting room, in a coaching, getting players to believe it. It doesn't work. You don't change, right? This is what happens so much, is you see coaches say what I said before, right? We're going to be offensive, we're going to play quick, but then actually doing it is what's really
when there's
tough.
some more pressure, or when when there's no results. Okay, how do you stick with your own philosophy, or are you going to go back to your inner motivation of winning or whatever? That's very interesting.
So that's right.
But also, what I hear in your story, okay, so you were installed as a sporting director 2019. Maybe I'm exaggerating, but literally there was only a license, a piece of paper that you can do it.
Right.
Probably they were building already a stadium, something like that. But how do you, in that process over the years, because you are not born in Austin, so you kind of have to get to know the people around you, and you have this idea about how the club could play and what is the culture. But it has to connect with the people understand. They also have a culture. And maybe my assumption is people work hard in that area. They're humble. They're humble. Yeah. So they're not maybe the East or the West Coast type of people. They're a little bit more quiet, but they want to see players and people that work their fucking ass off. For example,
Texas.
That's Texas.
Very much hardworking, proud. Texans are really proud, and so they want players that work and fight. It's a big Mexican American Latino community, so we have players from South America and from these roots as well. So it's important they could connect with them. It's a big Spanish speaking, passionate, progressive, very, very progressive. It's
in what way?
Well, they call it like the blueberry and the tomato soup. So it is University of Texas there. So it's the liberal county.
So they're open-minded as well.
Very open-minded. Okay. Very, very open-minded. So they're also very knowledgeable in soccer. That's what I noticed right away, and it's something that's changed so much. But they watch the games, they pay attention, they know what's happening, they know when there's a good ball, they appreciate good soccer. So that's something that for us was really important. While they want to win, because everybody wants to win, even fans will take winning ugly as well, and I'll take it sometimes. But they absolutely is a fan base that understands the sport, which is really great, and it's nice to have that. So, you know, we're still a country that has a short history and as a professional league and as a sport when you compare it to Europe, but we're certainly moving in an incredible way. And Austin it's again literally a perfect market for a professional soccer team.
Yeah, cool. Back to my idea. So how do you make sure that you and your leadership team and the coaching staff get connected with their environment? Was there anything that you did, or how did you? Because if you're, let's say, you're coming in from a different state, you're the U15 coach because you're a good coach. Mm-hmm. How do you make such a coach or such a guy or woman, whatever? How do you make them connect with the environment?
So, right now, I could explain because we're going through it. Even I mean, to be totally honest, this isn't something that again
you cannot do it in half an hour.
Right. No. And if you think so, we started playing last year in 2021, and we could not interact because of COVID. There were strict MLS rules, so it delayed the integration between our academy and the first team, which was tough. So they couldn't even come watch trainings. They had to be in their own spaces. They had to be outside. And this year, our season starts in January, preseason. So we're 3/4 of the season now. We play the calendar year. For me, when I had a staff meeting the beginning of the year, when I talked to everybody, it was about the integration of academy and the first team is a big goal of ours that I created in many different ways. Football, the performance side, high performance, data analyst, video analyst, sports science, how we work, operations, and also scouting and recruitment. So this year, big focus on bringing this together. We start with, the principles before of how we want to play, having the ball, everybody playing from the keeper through to the top, that they find solutions how to play. But now really connecting it with what the first team is doing. Our coaches are watching training. Our under-17 coach and our director of methodology, who are now here in Eindhoven, twice a week, they would sit with the first team coach, watch them prepare training, listen, ask questions, go out and watch training. That is the best education. That's what I told our coaches in the academy. I told the first team coach, who's very, very open. I said, we need them to see you. If we want them, we can put it on a presentation. Sure. We can have a 1 hour seminar, but seeing it, feeling it, when to let something go, when to stop, when to give information, the tempo, the standard of even how they put the drills together, how they prepare them, why they're doing them. Every single detail, Josh Wolf, the head coach, is working with our performance coach. How big, how small are the spaces, how long are the drills, when do they have off, when does this player need to maybe do a little bit more. So this day-to-day detail and standard is what now we want to bring down to the academy, and they have to see it. So they take it back to their coaches, and that's how we build that in. They need to have these conversations all the time, hey, we're playing against this team. How do we break them down out wide? What are some movement patterns that I can talk about? What are some ideas on build-up when they defend with 2 or 1? All these different things that, like, what Josh recommends, because there's nothing like you can put, like as the answer, just ideas and solutions. And so he gives them always this, he hears them. And also for our players to see the standard of our first team guys. So that's what's happening this year. So we're really working through that. I'm here now with the under-17s. I spend also as my role, 3 days a week. I arrive at 7:30, 8 a.m., and I leave at 8, 9 p.m. at night because the whole training, it's being around everything, seeing it, and connecting all the people. So it's important that everything I just talked about, again, it comes back to the people wanting to believe this way of playing. If we have a coach who doesn't believe it and doesn't do it, then it's just not the place for him to be. You have to believe it. You have to want to do it. But you have to learn, because what you said before, yes, we had coaches who, we're putting this together. We brought a coach from Minnesota. We brought a coach from D.C. We brought a coach that moved from California. So they're all coming from different ideas. They heard the game. I heard it different growing up. So did them. And this is where I go back to the example of Holland. Everybody more or less sees it in a similar way. In Italy and Spain, you have a culture where within the country there's a style of mentality. And identity, you know, and a philosophy of how you do things, where in the US it's all coming together. So it is more difficult. You are telling coaches oftentimes almost what you were doing was totally wrong, but we believe in you. Are you open? So when we bring a coach, are you open to changing your ways? Because you're going to see new ideas, and they have to be open to it, and they have to understand that, you know, there's certain ways that we believe in the right way to develop a player, to develop a team. But it's great conversations. We have a great staff that's open about it, you know, and they want to learn. And that's why, that is the number one reason that I was so excited about this relationship with PSV, because our coaches get to see the level here of how they do things, get the European experience, and hopefully, you know, we also have, I think in the future, PSV coaches that'll come to see us.
Yep.
And I'm sure they'll learn from us as well, because we have some things that we do. The American mentality, I already spoke to some of the coaches, how they say the American mentality is really interesting and love seeing it, how competitive they are. So again, in Austin, putting that all together, it's so much fun, you know. But as I said, it's still ongoing. It's always work. It's nonstop, you know. But we're getting there. And if you ask our coaches, and you know, they see the first two players as well, they understand the roles and what needs to be done, what they need to get better at if they're going to play in the system and the way we play. And so it's nice to see the kids starting to believe it as well and see it and have success with it.
Yeah, they don't realize it, but they probably will later, that they are building the foundation of the club. They're building the history, because if you now, for example, we are here at PSV, everybody in the Netherlands has an idea about what that club means or what it is or what's the identity. If you talk about Ajax, they have a clear style. If you talk about Manchester City, where you played, they are also building their foundation, because 20 years ago they were, and now their story kind of is really starting. Yeah, it's the same with you guys. And as a coach, normally when you go to a club, okay, this is the style, I'll adapt, I know the story, I have to fit in, I know where I have to shut up maybe once in a while, or where I push forward. And now you're in a new place, which is interesting. But
it's easier too, I think, to have something, because then a style allows you to then, you know, when you have to, you know, in the future, if there's another coach, you already know the profile, because if he needs to fit to what you want to be, and when you look for players, it needs to fit to what you want to be. And I almost find it easier. I can't imagine when you see these clubs that, you know, they bring in a coach that was totally different than the one before, and you got to almost re-teach the players a whole new way, because it's not easy. So we want to stay along the same direction, you know, way past, you know, I'm there or anyone else. You know, we are, as you said, we're building something for the next 100 years, and we have to believe in our identity. And we do have a fight about us. We talk a mentality, winning. It's American, and so, you know, there's an aggression that you can't take away from the American player. But now we're trying to really balance the thinking, the tactical, because I grew up with an Argentine dad who I'd sit around the table and watch soccer with, and he'd tell me, oh, why didn't he do this or he did that? But a lot of our players, most of our players grow up with parents that don't have that background. They played football, American football, or baseball, or basketball.
They were the common kids, 3 months baseball, 3 months football, 3 months basketball.
And they were the best at they liked soccer the most. And then, I'll do soccer.
They were athletic, probably.
That's the American kid, you know. And a lot of foreign coaches who come to the U.S., actually, I tell all these foreign coaches to come over, because they think they could turn an American into an English kid, or like, well, in England, everyone watches football here. Why don't they watch soccer here? They you know, everybody watches soccer in Holland or in Spain. I go, this is the American kid, man. Get used to it. You're not going to change them. Learn how to work with them. They love watching basketball. They love watching college sports. All the kids there watch American football. So, you know, don't take that away, because the kids, that's what they grow up with. So these are the things that I think sometimes over the years that I've heard is frustrated foreign coaches, where they think, you know, they'll be like a Brazilian boy. You have a Brazilian coach who's in Miami. I'm like, they're not going to be like that. So, and then hopefully I think they understand and take the feedback, because I was an American kid. I loved the New York Yankees, the Dallas Cowboys, the New York Knicks, and all these teams. Like,
it's culture.
It's culture.
Yeah.
So
that's the way interesting. Yeah. I've been coaching in America a couple of times. Franz Hoek, do you know him?
Yeah.
Oh, he had his camps, and I was one of the coaches there. And I spent 2 or 3 times, a couple of weeks in the United States. And the way the kids were kids, and I had some college players I was coaching as well.
Yeah.
And here in the Netherlands, when you coach, you say, okay, blah, blah, this is the exercise, this is the aim. And then the kids go, why? And they look at you, and if you're not convincing, they're not going to do it.
Yeah.
And there it was, if I even made a sound, everybody stopped. It's also very different types of kids.
Yeah.
And what I also remember, I was coaching a women's or a girls group. I think they were U17 to U19, so some of them were already in college, or I think you're going to college when you're 19, or is it high school?
18, 19, right. Yeah.
And there was 5 players that joined the camp. And then after, I had a pretty decent session, I thought. Okay, it was not like tiring that you're completely killed, but they were tired. And these girls stepped on the back line, let's say, and they sprinted to across the field and back until they couldn't ask, what are you doing? Yeah, this is called suicide runs. This is normal.
At the end of training.
At the end of training.
Yeah.
So it's also, I'm talking completely from an outside perspective, but even within the country, you have different styles. And, if I would have said, no, you shouldn't do that. But if that's the way that they like to become fit, or that's what the environment, they think, well, let them have it.
Yeah. That's right. There's a workout culture in America.
That's amazing.
It's amazing. Yeah, we had the orientation with all the academy teams, and we have in there, outside. They train 4 days a week. They have game on the weekend. It's pretty much 10.5 months. If you're doing something else, just let us know. But you don't need anything else, But these kids are doing individual coach or strength conditioning coach because they feel they still need more.
Yeah.
So that's always a balance. I'm always trying to. Again, it's a mentality, but I do believe in like multi-sport. In the summer, go play tennis, go ride a bike, get away as well. That's my belief and always will be. But you have some parents and you have some kids that all they do, and they're so focused. And again, you're not going to tell them to not do it because that's just in their nature. So I can see that. I see that a lot of kids. They love like extra work and working out and running.
Yeah.
So.
And if you say, okay, we do, I don't know, whatever, you do 5 sprints, and after 5, they're already looking at you. When is the next 5 coming?
Yeah.
But maybe the interesting side is that the kids after 5 sprints, they look at the coach. But in the end, on the pitch, you want players that take responsibility, and that's always.
Yeah.
So you have the advantage that they are always there. There's no ego. They're task oriented. They want to perform. On the other side, you want them to have a little bit of an ego. Of course, they will have it in the end, but you want to put that in maybe as young as possible, or they should have it kind of way. I think that's also it can be an interesting way to coach them. Well, again, from an outsider's perspective, how do you? Because you want to play creative, you want to play proactive. How do you, as a club or in your philosophy, make sure that the players take that responsibility? Or you, maybe from leadership?
Yeah, we do in many different ways. Whether it's a post-training debrief with the coaches, hearing what did they think, asking questions, what did they see? Oftentimes it's, the coach, we call it joysticking, everywhere. And in the U.S. happens too much. Move here, slide, step, shoot, pass. And, I always tell coaches, you're telling them everything to do. It doesn't work like that. When you're in the game, you have to make the decision. So teaching them. And so in training, backing off, doing the exercise, let them do it, let them figure it out. And, I think in America, you said it before, like they ask questions, and that's sort of the culture too. Why are we doing this? Or, hey, I don't understand, and they ask questions, they always look to the coach for the solutions, though, which is not great. At some point, they do have to figure it out. And so you have to encourage kids and kind of throw them out there, make them fail. And that's, I think, what the problem is sometimes don't understand that in soccer, it's just a constant game of mistakes, right? Yeah. So you have to go through them. Okay, why did I make this mistake, that mistake, my positioning? There's so many pictures going on through the game. And I think I had the privilege once to sit with Phil Jackson, the legendary basketball coach, and have a dinner with him. And he was doing like a youth coaching seminar, and I was at a table with him. So I was just like, oh my God, I love basketball. Michael Jordan.
One of the best coaches ever in any sports.
The Zen master, they call him.
Yoga on the pitch.
All that stuff on the court. And it was strange, but then all the players believed it. It was amazing. And he said something to me that really stuck to me, and it's so true. And he said the one problem is because he was a fan of soccer, because he was like, yeah, basketball, soccer, you play offense, you play defense. You know, in American football, different people come in and out, and you can talk to them all the time. There's timeouts. Basketball has more timeouts than soccer and stoppages, but he said you have to do it all. But because the problem in basketball and soccer is the same from what I've heard, is that kids are overcoached and undertaught, and it's a big difference. So that stuck with me. Was like telling the coaches to teach the game, really become a teacher, and too often they are coaching, which means the coaching to me is defined more as like, you know, during the game, you know, becoming that coach on the sideline, and they too often take the role of what they see on TV, of seeing the guy in the sideline waving his hands and moving stuff when you see it at a high level game. And again, I'm speaking from mostly the U.S. experience, what I see. And he just said we don't have enough coaches in basketball. He was talking about, and he said, I'm sure. And I said, yeah, you're 100% right. Teaching the game, the details of not, hey, pass it there, but why are you passing it there? And the person receiving it, is he in the right space? And what's the next person doing? So we are catching up, but this to me is really important, is coaches teaching players how to play the game. And that's what I love doing. When I watch a game, you know, I really want a kid that if he has 10 seconds with me, I'm going to tell him something that sticks with him. Because as we all know, there's so much more that's just like white noise.
Yeah. Well, the actual choice of words, because I was with a game last Monday with the group from Dubai, and I hear all the coaching, and there's no judgment because we've all been on the sideline, and your emotions get the best out of you sometimes, and and you want the kid to win the 1v1, but it's so hard to leave him alone. Maybe either he wins it or he loses it, and then maybe afterwards or in a quiet moment, okay, what happened? Yeah. But we all want to push it so the result goes that way, or the result goes in favor of whatever. Yeah. And then I saw that I was in 8v8 game, and they were all learning patterns to run, and they were U11s. I was like, okay, these kids are overwhelmed with information. Yeah. What does it matter that they're not in shape or their shape is not correct? Right. It's 11. They just should love the game. They should beat 5 players, and the 6th maybe they can't. Yeah. Whatever. Yeah. But it's so hard because you want to perform. There are parents watching. They want.
They want to win.
They want also. Why we just got beat by this team from 7-1? Why? Yeah. Well, because the kids are taking care of it themselves. That's a very hard answer to give.
Yeah. Especially in the U.S. we also have the pay-to-play model. So the parents pay outside of MLS teams. So MLS now is cost-free for academies, but everything else, you have a daughter who plays, and you pay quite a bit of money. We have this, model there that the coaches, and to run a youth club, an amateur youth club, it's a lot more money than here. I think a lot more here is subsidized, and you can play in these amateur clubs.
A lot of volunteers involved in all the clubs, so that doesn't really cost any money.
So it doesn't exist there. It's big business, sadly, in that way. And so
just some context, what is it? What are we talking about?
3,000 to 5,000 a year
for a kid to play, and then you're a travel team, or not even?
And that doesn't even include if you travel. Okay. So you imagine you have a couple of kids who play. Ooh. And they scholarship some kids, but you're paying a lot of money. So in the parent, it automatically, in a way, you understand, it gives you a right to say, wait, well, why doesn't my son play more? I pay and he didn't play, or, I question the coach and the way he coaches them. And so it opens up to a little bit more of a critique and feedback and comments where, Austin FC, it's pay to play. You sit back, and the coaches, there's a pro club doing the job. It's much easier. So there are these challenges in these youth amateur clubs, and so that's what you get, and I want to win because the 30 minutes away there's a club that I can go to and spend my money, and they might have a better coach, or they beat us 3-0. And even if you're doing the right thing at this club, the parents just see, well, they won, they beat us, so I'm going to go to that team. Yeah. And it's not always the right place, and so it's very messy. It's not great, to be honest. There's just a hysteria around youth sports, and parents are they are the worst part of it. It starts for me there, and then it's like the coaches next, and then the players are the last of the sort of.
If you put it in context, if I can imagine that I have 2 kids, you have 4 kids, for example, that's going to cost you $20,000 or euros, whatever year.
Yeah.
Then you really want quality. That's from there. They have to work their asses off to spend. So you can hardly blame them for their behavior. But still, in the ideal football way, you want them to back off, relax.
Yeah.
There's so many things
Yeah, you want
involved.
to relax and understand. It's it's a journey and it never ends. It's always my son plays in Borussia Dortmund, and it's it's the same things at a higher pressure and a higher level, but you don't have the best days, you have great days, you win, you lose, you play bad in the team. Like I try to explain that this happens, look at any table, you're going to lose games. And I think a big problem in the US, when I go back to the mentality and culture, is so we have a lot of kids who play soccer that come from other sports. The other American sports that you would say are NFL, football, basketball, baseball. Then you have sports like tennis, even lacrosse is but going back to those other sports, there is always a sort of alpha in those sports, right? The quarterback is the star in high school football, and the running back, the guy who gets the ball, the wide receiver who scores a touchdown. In basketball, there's always one guy who's like the main scorer.
Dominant player.
Player. In baseball, it's the pitcher or the guy who hits really good, right? There's these, and in soccer, trying to explain that to an American culture where our fandom for the celeb superstar starts at a young age. Like, oh, my son is the best pitcher on the team. It's very individual in these team sports with certain positions. And soccer, as we know, is not like that. The importance of everybody collectively trying to explain a kid, and I have these conversations in our academy that, oh, by the way, your son right now is a right winger. He might be a right fullback. That happens in this sport. So they're all coming from teams where they're the star, they're the number 9, the midfielder, or the center defender. And now they come to Austin, and we have to move them around. So you have to explain this is how it happens. And you look at Gio van Bronckhorst. He played left winger, ends up left back, and has a full career at a high level.
Your own career.
Myself, I moved around everywhere. So even things like this, where understanding that your importance in a team having success in soccer, the every position you need it to succeed, it doesn't really click with the typical American mentality of, well, how does my son stand out if he just plays right midfield? That's what you hear from parents. I heard it from a young age, and I just didn't click with me. I'm like, what do you mean? That's just every position is important, but they come, and I figured it out really is that, like, because a lot of these kids, their parents would take them out of soccer, really talented players, because they can go be a star pitcher, and it was better for them almost.
Sure.
If it satisfied the parent more than the players loved it. The players didn't care if they played, hey, you're going to play left back even though you were a left winger. Okay, no problem. They're playing. I said, yeah, you get the ball there. I would tell the kids when I was coaching younger kids, I'm like, you actually get the ball there more than maybe left winger because you get to attack more, and I want you to attack, and you try to make it fun. And the kids are like, then it's the parents saying, well, why is he there now? Why is he playing defense? Because he's really physical. Why is my son playing central defender? He played center forward in the previous. I said, you know what? He's an animal. The way he tackles, he wins the ball. This is where he can play. Oh, yeah, but and I was like, oh, my. So that's a little bit of a snapshot of the youth soccer world and how
it's
parents
not only
think.
in America. It's everywhere. It's everywhere.
It is. And it's every sport. All the other sports are crazy too.
No, and as we're both parents, but mine are a little bit younger. But you still want to be. Okay.
Of course.
And especially maybe you have to be an example anyway. So if your son who plays now at an elite level, and your daughter, is your daughter also?
My daughter plays, under 14. Yep.
So I will leave it up to the coaches. I have to be the example. I can't imagine that.
No, it's I mean, as you said it before, right? When the whistle blows, there's like the emotion. I'm even like, come on, I'm like, hey ref, like this is a bad call. Like it's the game, but then always trying to make sure you can have perspective, on it. You have to. So,
yeah, it's funny. Yeah. That's funny. Wow. And you've been here in the Netherlands now for 3-4 days with a part of your coaching staff in U17s.
Yes.
How's the experience so far?
It's been great. We've been welcomed. The hospitality's been fantastic. Being able
Did you
to see people.
did you ever play it against PSV?
I did, yeah. Rangers.
Oh, sure,
played
of course.
them, yeah, in the Champions League back in 2000. We won 1-0 here. I think we had like 2 shots on goal, and we won. And then we won 4-1 in Ibrox in the group stages. And they had a great team. You know, I remember, Ruud van Nistelrooy, Luke Nilis. It was excellent
That
team.
group. Yeah.
And here we should have lost. We got lucky. We did, and Rangers at Ibrox we won and played really well. But amazing. But I followed it. I played them actually also in a friendly when I was at Leverkusen. And my one really awesome PSV story is when I first came to Leverkusen in '94. That first year I didn't play Leverkusen. I played like reserve team football.
Sure.
I had to learn how to defend, as I said before. So I was playing reserves, and it was great. We played Ajax and Anderlecht back in the day, and that was my first experience playing against like really good Dutch football. But I saw Ronaldo, the
original Ronaldo,
in the 5-4 game at Leverkusen. For PSV fans, they probably, I'm sure, remember it. He scored 4 goals, and that was like his like breakout party to Europe. And then Leverkusen tied 0-0 here in Eindhoven. So I got to see that team play, and I played with Eric Meyer and Jan Heinze, who were players at PSV, who came to Leverkusen. So, so I always knew about the history of Romario and what a big club they were. I was a football junkie, and I knew about their history, and especially when I moved to Europe. So when we had this conversation with the club about a partnership, I was really excited. We started in 2019 and 2020, our Austin FC club, and so many clubs reached out to us, and the owner said, explore it if you want some, nothing where it's like a city football group ownership. He didn't really have any interest in owning another team, but I said, would you be okay? Because many clubs are reaching out if we did like a partnership. And he said, yeah, of course, that would be fantastic. And so a lot of clubs reached out, and then there was something when I met and I knew about Eindhoven, Holland. This is similar to Austin in terms of the people, humble, hardworking, family atmosphere.
Progressive as well.
There's the tech sort of hub here. So, and there was a lot of synergies, and I always heard really good things about the club. When I asked people, there's been Americans playing here, DeMarcus Beasley, everyone always loved PSV. So it always stuck with me. It's really positive. And so when I met Ernest and Joost, we talked, and right away I spoke to our president.
Did Joost bring appelflappen?
Appelflappen?
Well, in every meeting, Joost brings food.
Oh yeah. we fed him well, I think, over there.
Oh, you were there. Okay,
he went there. Yeah. He came to visit us, and so it was exciting. And the way I saw it was really technical relationship. Our coaches to learn, our players to experience it here, teams, individual players. They also see the growth of soccer in America. They wanted to partner with one
Interesting
club.
Model for sure.
Very interesting. So now, 3-4 months ago, a route KLM Austin to Amsterdam direct. So that made it even better.
Yeah.
And here we are. It's great. It's been amazing. We get to also be in a week with such a big game with Rangers game.
Sure. Which is interesting for your background as well.
For me. Yeah. And I'm going tonight, so it's it's going to be incredible. It's so
probably when we air this, it will be a couple of weeks after the game, so we'll know.
Yes.
Which way it went. But okay, cool. And you have the U17s playing. Actually,
soon
in 20 minutes.
Yeah. So our under 17 team is a mix of 16s and 17s because. Our competition in the U.S., you play 12s, 13s, 14s, 15s, and then 17s.
Okay, 2 blocks. Years.
Blocks.
Blocks 2 years.
And then it goes to our second team right away because the kids go to college or they stay with us. So that's where most teams are moving to that model. So we have half under 16s and half under 17s. So yesterday, most of our under 16s started the game, but then the other kids, because we only have 18 kids, we have a few injuries.
Yeah.
We played them, it was really good, and we did well. But again, it's all experience. And today we played the under 17s, which is going to be much more difficult because we have younger guys. But
physical, more a matchup.
Physical, and I think yesterday we did well, so I think they're gonna probably be more alert. I think we snuck up on them yesterday, and our guys are just so. It's incredible to see. Everything I hope this was going to be is they starting from coming here, the facilities, seeing the professionalism, how a club is run, all the different ages, interaction, the training sessions that they're having here, then playing against a team, it's inspirational. And that's what any boy needs. More than anything, they need the inspiration. They need the fire, of course, themselves, but they need to see a pathway, which they have now with Austin FC. But these kind of experiences, I could have only dreamed if I did something like this, how pumped I am.
It kind of relates to where we started when you were 15, 16, when you came to the US boys team. I don't know how you call it, but
that's right. Youth national teams.
Yeah, and that's where you started traveling and experiencing football.
Yeah, it was like so eye-opening, like just everything about it, what it means. We went to the young PSV Heracles game on Monday, and they see the supporters, and that team was relegated, and these young boys playing against men, and what it means. They loved it, and we know the impact this, even though it's a week, it's making on our boys. 8 days is incredible. So the games are a part of it, but it's not everything. So it's great.
And it's also as a group. You are away, you're in your hotel, you're in the bus constantly together. They really get to know each other. Something happens either for good or bad, but it connects you all together. You're going to look back at that experience. You remember when, blah, blah, blah.
They will never forget this trip. That's exactly it. It's a memories they'll never forget.
And that's important for any team. So you are doing this with PSV, but any team can, if you're on any level, can create. You can go whatever, if you don't have no budget, you hire 5 tents and you go to a forest and you sleep there one night and you make a campfire, blah, 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 and you have an experience.
We talk about all the time with the first team at Austin FC, what can we do? The boys need to get together, whether it's a dinner, we understand just getting away from it, being that team bonding, preseason trip. When we travel, sometimes when we travel, it's even better because we bring everybody, they're actually, spending time together, and so important in football to create the culture. And again, even going, when you see a team that's together on the field, man, those teams are tough to play against. Forget throw out, of course there's level of play, systems, and all the other factors to it, but when you have a team really together fighting, it's great to see.
It compensates a lot of quality.
And it sounds, what do you mean but how many games and teams do you know that just doesn't seem like they're all pulling in the same direction and fighting for each other? And so that's what we talk about as well. We need to have that, because no one is stronger than everybody together, and you need everybody to win games. And so, you have those team bonding activities, and they get to know each other. And so when you're on the field, the guy to your right, to your left, you can count on them. You want to fight that little bit more. And, you see that. And that's why, a smaller team beats a bigger team, right? And that's why this sport is unbelievable. But the togetherness and the fight, and that's what a preseason like this will do for the boys. And we're starting our season like here as well. We haven't played a competition yet for these games, but it's an amazing experience. I'm glad we were able to do this and get them here.
Okay, perfect. Well, let's close off with that. I think it was great to talk to you. It's
been great.
And I like how you shared in 5 sentences you could just describe Austin FC, and actually the collaboration part and the sticking together is something that you're creating with this tour, actually, which you need because it's part of your identity as well.
That's right.
Yeah, great. We already had your nomination, so Arthur, we're gonna call you
Arthur Newman. Yes. PSV legend.
PSV legend.
Guy. And a lot of good stories.
I know. Maybe there's some whiskey stories in there as well, which he's still in working in.
Dancing stories.
But thank you very much, Claudio, and let's enjoy the game.
Yep. Thank you so much.